welcome to the October 12th, 2021 work session of the Gaston County Board of Commissioners. My name is Tom Keigher. I serve as chairman of the board as well as commissioner for the Gastonia Township. I'd like to welcome our viewers and thank Spectrum Cable and ATT for making this possible for our citizens to watch at home. For our television audience, I'd like to present your commissioners beginning on my far right.
Alan Fraley, Cherryville Township.
Good evening, Chad Brown, Riverbend Township.
Good evening, Bob Hovis, Crowders Mountain Township.
Good evening, I'm Ronnie Worley, South Point Township.
Tonight we have a special guest, a little buddy of mine, lives in my neighborhood. His name is Jackson Farris, and I'm going to lead the group in a short invocation, and Jackson's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would all please join us in standing. Dear Father, as we make decisions, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of our community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the citizens of Gaston County. And please continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of our humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
I will now like to invite you to say the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Master Farris.
You're welcome.
You can just go that way.
It's nice meeting you all.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you. Item number 1 are proclamations and commendations, along with a couple of awards. The first is the commendation to commend the 2020 Gaston County Employees of the Year. I will read the resolution and then ask Dr. Eagle, our county manager, to go down to the podium and present the awards to each and every one. And whereas Gaston County employs approximately 1,790 dedicated employees, and whereas each year these employees nominate and select from among themselves the most outstanding employee, and whereas an outstanding Gaston County employee is one who has rendered excellent service, performed in a manner that has won the respect and admiration of his or her peers, and exhibited an attitude of professionalism to be emulated by others. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners commends the 2020 Gaston County Employees of the Year, the 2020 Courageous Service Award recipient, the 2020 Teamwork Award recipients, and the County Manager's Award recipient, and expresses its appreciation for the exceptional and dedicated work of all our employees. Be it further resolved that this commendation and the names of the 2020 recipients be made part of the minutes of this county commission to be adopted the 26th day of October. And now I will turn it over to Dr. Eagle.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Board of Commissioners. It's an honor to be able to share these awards. We have some of the best staff in the nation, in my opinion, and it's an honor to be able to share some specifics with you tonight. I will ask each recipient to come forward as I begin to read the description and call your name, and then we have a copy of the resolution for you and your award. Excuse me. I'll start with Adam Gobb. Adam is Gaston County's Communications Director, and it's very hard to believe, but Adam was a new employee at the beginning of 2020. His greatest impact may have been working with public health, stepping up and filling a void. He jumped right in, showing leadership, building trust, and collaborating with the public health team. Perhaps the greatest achievement was his work with vaccinations. Almost overnight, Adam led getting a website up for vaccination appointments, repurposed his office to assist in the effort, brought people together from different areas, and even from the state to assist with the phone bank. He worked well into the night on several nights to get citizens the information and the appointments that they needed. For his huge impact on Gaston County and his efforts in serving our community during a pandemic, Adam Gobb is an Employee of the Year. Next, we have Chelsea Harris. In 2020, Chelsea was a branch library assistant at the Mount Holly branch. She was promoted to manager of the Dallas branch earlier this year. In 2020, Chelsea used technology to engage teens, including transitioning traditional programming to digital platforms, did virtual outreach to Mount Holly Middle School exceptional children's classrooms, and more. Chelsea's biggest accomplishment did not involve technology, but instead partnerships. Chelsea worked with Lowe's Home Improvement and the City of Mount Holly to create a story walk at Tuckasegee Park. It was so successful, she's been asked to bring the story walk back twice already. For her innovation in reaching our area's youth, Chelsea Harris is an Employee of the Year. Chelsea. Erin Hines. Erin is an environmental educator in the Natural Resources Department. One of the challenges for parents and teachers during 2020 was finding online educational resources and balancing those with hands-on activities. Knowing this, Erin developed a YouTube series of fun and engaging educational videos. This was called Gaston Natural Classroom. She also developed a series of virtual field trips designed to guide small, socially distanced classes in outdoor activities in their schoolyard. Additionally, Erin was a key contributor to the Southern Piedmont Envirothon, a natural resource education program and competition designed to challenge students. For creatively finding ways to reach out to area students and keep them learning during a pandemic, Erin Hines is an Employee of the Year. Next, we have Sergeant Matt Johnson. Matt Johnson is a sergeant with the Gaston County Police Department. Sergeant Johnson showed his initiative in 2020, leading several changes and projects. Some of those included creating a standard narrative form for police officers and implementing its use among his officers and the field training officers, creating guidelines for some of the most difficult calls to handle, like domestic violence calls and involuntary mental commitments. He also identified problem areas and initiated projects such as Operation Undivided Attention and Operation Yard Sale. For his initiative in making Gaston County a safer community, Sergeant Matt Johnson is an Employee of the Year. Next, we have Mike Lee. Mike Lee is the Facilities Maintenance Division Administrator for Public Works. In 2020, facilities experienced a lot of work outside of normal activities. Mike led several projects, including the renovations of several departments in the administration building, the jail infill project, which created additional bed space for inmates, and the transition of the animal care facility, and more. Throughout the pandemic, Mike and his staff have continued to make sure our buildings are operational and safe and in good condition so county business can continue. For his project management skills, the hours worked, and maintaining a great attitude through a difficult time, through several plan changes, Mike Lee is an Employee of the Year. Bobby Maxwell. Bobby Maxwell, excuse me, is an animal care and enforcement specialist with the Gaston County Police Department. In 2020, Bobby dealt with some very emotional charged cases. One of those cases saw Bobby receive intense scrutiny from some members of the community. He sought case reviews from 3 separate veterinarians and interviewed the parties involved to ensure the process was done professionally, ethically, and fairly. He stood by the evidence he knew was right, and not only weathered the pressure from those in disagreement, but also helped the pet owner work through the issues caused by the publicity of the case. For his strength, leadership, and caring service to the citizens and animals of Gaston County, Bobby Maxwell is an Employee of the Year. Next, we have Julia Lane, and I believe Dan Ziem is accepting on her behalf. Julie is an accounting technician, too, with the landfill. In 2020, volume at the landfill continued to rise as the pandemic brought more tonnage. At the same time, several employees needed to be out for extended periods. This is when Julie stepped up. While still doing her accounting duties, Julie worked the scales nonstop for over 2 months. She stayed late and came in on Sundays to make sure the accounting was done. She also spent considerable time helping administrators and coworkers plan for the addition of a new scale house staff. For her extra effort in helping a critical function like the landfill stay operational during a very difficult time, Julie Lane is an Employee of the Year. Next, we have Deputy Charles Ross, and Sheriff Cloninger is accepting on his behalf. Charles Ross is a deputy with the Sheriff's Office who works security at social services. What makes Deputy Ross so special to social services is his caring service. He builds relationships with employees and is very observant, often recognizing problems before they start. Where Deputy Ross truly goes above and beyond what is asked of him is his role in helping with situations with children or simply speaking to our children. Social Services received many examples of this, including the time he talked to a foster child who had barricaded themselves in a room until they were ready to calmly walk out. For protecting our staff, protecting our building, and protecting our children, Deputy Charles Ross is an Employee of the Year. Next, we have our Courageous Service Award. Sheriff Cloninger will also accept this on behalf of Deputy Casey Tigner. Deputy Tigner is a deputy with the Sheriff's Office and is already known as a 3-year veteran in field operations who has a wealth of knowledge and experience, whose energy and positive attitude help motivate the rest of the shift. But on November the 11th, it was Deputy Tigner's quick thinking and action that stood out. There was a shooting call, and Deputy Tigner was the first on the scene. He found the victim, who had been shot in the leg and was losing a dangerous amount of blood. Deputy Tigner was able to administer aid and control the bleeding, all while finding out more information about the suspect. Once Jims arrived and took over, Deputy Tigner continued to question witnesses at the scene. He realized the suspect was still on the scene, took him into custody, and turned him over to county police for charges related to the shooting. For his quick thinking in helping a shooting victim and still having the presence of mind to resolve the case on scene, Deputy Casey Tigner is the winner of the Courageous Service Award. Next, we have our Teamwork Awards. I'll ask Angela King, Ellen Wright, Christy Jackson, and Kyle Gamble to come forward. These are members of our communicable disease team. And also, if Leslie Sellers, our vaccination coordinator, can come forward. Together, this outstanding team was critical to public health's COVID response. So this team, we'll call the CD team for communicable disease of DHHS, has been instrumental in the COVID-19 pandemic since March of 2020. This team has displayed an unwavering response to meet the needs of our community by providing contact investigation, tracing, accurate information, education, and resources during a time of uncertainty. In Leslie's role as vaccination coordinator, she has been at the center of all COVID vaccination clinics and played a critical role in partnerships with other vaccine providers in our community. She is an expert around all things related to the vaccine and a resource for both public health and our community. Throughout the pandemic, this team remains on call and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have worked alongside Gaston County schools in maintaining a safe learning environment for teachers and students, and they have also supported local colleges, businesses, and churches in managing outbreaks and triaging concerns. Most impressive about all these team members are their positive attitudes and their caring, passion, and humility as they perform this tireless work. Congratulations to Angela King, Ellen Wright, Christy Jackson, Kyle Gamble, and Leslie Sellers, our 2020 Teamwork Award winners. Thank you. Next, we have our Public Works Facilities Management Team. And I'll ask Alex Davis, Andrew Allen, Chris McSwain, Dan Whetstein, Danny Yarborough, Justin Barnes, Kenny Palmer, Neil Barnes, Tyler Swink, and Wayne Gentry to come forward. So the pandemic may have slowed down some functions of county government, but it did not slow down public works or facilities management. Throughout 2020, this team completed numerous projects, including the renovation of the Register of Deeds office, the transition to the new animal care and enforcement facility, renovations at multiple branch libraries, the jail infill project, and several major renovations and department moves within the county, just to name a few. While their long hours of physical work were outstanding, it was their patience that really stood out. Several times they had to react to plan changes, special requests, and had to be conscientious of fellow county employees. They were patient the entire time, and we completed the renovations on schedule, and they were completed. I want to thank this team for your hard work. Lastly, we have the County Manager's Award. Tommy Jenkins. So Tommy is a Client Service Technician 3 with IT, but for years, county employees have known Tommy as our customer service superstar. Tommy played a major role in the IT business continuity plan for our COVID-19 response and our remote rollout. As Chief Information Officer Ricky Johnson put it, when COVID hit, Tommy really showed us what he's made of and what extent he will go to do his job. Tommy was crucial in IT's response to the pandemic and was most instrumental in providing remote desktop capabilities to staff. Between March the 9th and April the 3rd, the county went from about 100 employees to 600 employees who could work virtually. Tommy was a huge reason we had this success. Tommy's role during the pandemic continues to be critically important as he serves the employees who serve our community. For this, Tommy Jenkins is the recipient of the 2020 County Manager's Award. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes the awards.
All Adam, I'm just going to read the next proclamation that will proclaim Gaston County's 175th birthday coming up later, I think December 21, first day of winter, I believe.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
I'll go ahead and read it now. Whereas Gaston County will celebrate its 175th anniversary on December 21, and whereas Gaston County was first inhabited by Cherokee and Catawba Indians and was later settled by German, Scotch, Irish, and English immigrants, and now has a population of nearly 228,000 residents from a multitude of backgrounds. And whereas Gaston County is now the 9th largest county population-wise in the state of North Carolina. And whereas Gaston County has added more than 46,000 residents to its population since the county celebrated its sesquicentennial in 1996. And whereas North Carolina's General Assembly split Gaston County from Lincoln County to allow for smaller and more localized government. And whereas Gaston County's original seat was in Dallas and was moved to Gastonia 110 years ago following a vote by its residents. And whereas Gaston County has, through visionary leadership, diversified its economy and built upon the strengths of its citizens to grow a strong manufacturing base with good-paying, long-lasting jobs. And whereas Gaston County has a proud history with a bright and prosperous future. And whereas all of Gaston County's 14 municipalities are all invited to participate in the celebration, now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners agree that Gaston County's 175th anniversary will be celebrated in a ceremony on December 21, 2021 at the Rotary Pavilion in Gastonia, along with other events marked by an official 175th anniversary seal to celebrate the occasion. Be it further resolved that this proclamation will be adopted the 26th day of October at our formal voting meeting. And Adam, thanks for getting this all together. The county appreciates it, and we're getting old. I'll let you just pick this up.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. Next, we have Commissioner Brown, proclamation to proclaim the week of October 3 through the 9th as Fire Prevention Week and adopt the theme, Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Call Kevin Gordon, the Emergency Medical Director, to accept on behalf. And if any of the firemen want to come up, they're more than welcome to come and join behind. One of our fellow county commissioners now from Cleveland County. It's a good man. Whereas Gaston County is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in visiting our county. And whereas according to the National Fire Protection Association, knowing what to do when the alarm sounds will keep you and your family safe. And whereas residents should take action when their smoke or carbon monoxide alarm sounds. Whereas this year's Fire Protection Week campaign, Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety, aims to ensure everyone in the home that understands the sounds of smoke and carbon monoxide alarm to know how to respond. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims October 3rd through the 9th, 2021 as Fire Protection Week throughout the community to urge the community to participate by learning the sounds of your smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, by checking them and using the user guide to search the brand and model online during Fire Protection Week 2021, this to be adopted the 28th day of September 2021. Kevin, thank you for accepting. You're about to lose your paper there. You want to say anything about the fire protection?
Can say yes, sir.
Please.
Thank you, sir. Hey, good evening, everyone. I don't have any prepared comments, but I'll make a couple quick notes. Just trivia. Fire Prevention Week is always the first week of October, and it's always the week that includes October the 9th, and that is a coincidence or coincides with the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. That's the importance of it. However, it's also important to this always the beginning of the heating season, which is also a tick up in fire causes throughout society. So I would encourage you all the citizens here, those watching, that fire prevention should be a 52-week process and not a 1-week process, Make sure that you all have working fire extinguishers in your kitchens. Make sure that your smoke detectors and your carbon monoxide detectors work properly, and that you provide fire safety or practice fire safety throughout your daily activities. And it will do you well, and it will serve your family well. Thank you for your time, and we appreciate this.
Kevin, one second, if I may. I need you to settle a debate between, well, somebody in my house and myself.
Okay?
Every 6 months,
Sure, I
my
won't.
wife has me go out and get the 9-volt, 7 or 8 9-volt batteries to change them. And like the Duracell, they're like 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, they last that long. Do they need to get changed every 6 months?
So there's they are batteries that you can provide that will last longer, but the safest way to do it is to routinely change your batteries, and 6 months is a good one. Another way to do that is always coincide that with the change of time.
Okay,
I would encourage you to change the batteries.
okay, well, she won that one.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
If you would learn, Commissioner Keigher, always listen to your wife. That's the moral of the story. All right, so now we're going to read for the volunteer firefighters and rescue squads. This is their certificates for years of service. Each year, the Board of Commissioners honors Gaston County volunteer firefighters and rescue squad members who have reached 10, 20, 30, and 40-plus years of service. Our dedicated volunteers undergo hours of rigorous training to provide these valuable services to our citizens. It is with great pleasure that we commend this year's recipients for achieving this impressive milestone. I'm going to go through and do the people who are here to make sure we get those first. Dallas Volunteer Fire Department, John Hendricks, 10 years of service. You get paid more by coming closer. John, thank you for your service to our community. It means a lot. Thank you. It's your turn. He's going to take your picture. Also from Dallas, John Lineberger for 10 years of service. Missed that one. From Dallas, Charles Arton, 20 years of service. Nice highlight, Donna. Matt Canup, 30 years of service. East Gaston Fire Department, 10 years of service to Jacob Hovis. How you, brother? Good to see you.
I'll take it on his behalf.
Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Turn around right there, gonna take your picture. Looks better when you're with me.
Yes, sir.
Richard Flowers from East Gaston, 40 years of service. Richard, you tired yet? I hope you got another 40 in you because you're over in my district. Thank you so much, sir.
I have a few. I don't know if I
Appreciate you
got
for your
40.
service right here. Thank you. Mark Hoover, East Gaston, 40 years of service. Well, Mark, you gotta, don't say that. I need another 40 from you because you're in that district as well. Thank you for your service, young man. It means a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm gonna take your picture right there. From Ranlow, Joe Day, 30 years of service. And if you don't mind, I'm going to call these out real quick, just the people who have years of service. From Cherryville, Josh Boyd, 10 years of service. Jimmy Johnson, 10 years of service. Jeff Cash, 40 years of service, Cherryville Fire Department. Crowders Mountain Fire and Rescue, Luther Clark, 30 years of service. Robert Foy, 30 years of service. Melanie Messagee, 30 years of service. Wayne Messagee, 30 years of service. Susan McMillan, 30 years of service. Dallas Volunteer Fire Department, Joshua Bundy, 20 years of service. East Gaston Volunteer Fire Department, Kathleen Melton, 10 years of service. New Hope Fire Department, Jason Warren, 30 years of service. Need one more. Sorry, come here, get your picture taken. Do this right here.
Nobody caught that.
From the Ranlow Fire and Rescue, Derek Alexander, 30 years of service. Ted Hendricks, 30 years of service. Jeff Hicks, 30 years of service. And Eric Weaver, 30 years of service. We'll give a round of applause to all those who have that. Anyone who's not in attendance, these will be mailed out. Where'd I
Mr.
miss
Brown,
them?
Mr. Massey is in attendance at the back.
Wayne.
Come on,
His wife
please.
both, that's what I'm saying. They're
I apologize. Come on up. I didn't see you. Massey. This is a dual picture. I like this one. Let's put this just for the picture purposes right now. Y'all come right here. Turn and look right there.
I trust their names aren't on the certificates.
Thank you. I promise you guys this. We have the hardest working staff. I give them a hard time, but that's really hard to keep up with, so thank you guys. I just looked at you just to make sure you're just
A
having
little
fun.
late now after you sort of,
That's mine and Donna's. Tara Joyner and your staff, if you want to come up, please. Assistant County Manager, please. Karen, come on. Karen, we'll wait. Come on closer. Thank you, guys. This is to proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence impacts women, men, and children of every age, background, and belief, with nearly 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men in the United States having suffered severe physical violence by an intimate partner. And whereas, while physical remarks may often be just the obvious signs of harm caused by domestic violence, the true extent of the pain goes much deeper. And whereas survivors not only face abuse, but often find themselves left with significant financial insecurities and children whom witness domestic violence within a home and have an experience of lifelong trauma. Whereas survivors as children benefit from the increase in trauma-informed support, clinical services, and trauma-sensitive environments. And whereas the newly established Hope United Survivor Network, in conjunction with the victims advocates from the Gaston County Sheriff's Office, the Lighthouse Children's Advocacy Center, and the Kathy Mabry Cloninger Center, has continued to meet the needs of domestic violence for survivors through housing, counseling, advocacy, education, and support. Whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for the citizens to learn more about preventing domestic violence and show support for numerous organizations and individuals who provide critical advocacy care, services, and assistance to survivors. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims October 2021 as Domestic Violence Emergency Month, this to be adopted on the 26th day of October 2021. Tara, please, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you very much for the continued awareness of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It is something that we continue to strive to work towards in identifying barriers and coordinated services so that increasing children and family safety becomes easily attainable. We know that domestic violence does not happen out in the open, and we know that it impacts every race, culture, and class of people. So our goal at Hope United Survivor Network, along with all of our partnering agencies, is to continue to identify those barriers and put services in place so we can best meet the needs of those in our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Commissioner Worley has a commendation, and I'll let him announce it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would invite Tiffany Murray, our Finance Director, and staff that is here, would like to come up with. This is a commendation for Ms. Murray and the finance staff for excellence in financial reporting. Whereas Ms. Tiffany R. Murray, Gaston County Finance Director, oversees preparation of the county's annual comprehensive financial report and coordinates its compilation and production with assistance of the Finance Department staff. Whereas the Finance Department has been awarded the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the Gaston County FY 2020 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by government and its management. Whereas this honor enhances the county's credibility in financial management, and the achievements demonstrate the competence of the finance director and the finance department staff. Whereas the annual comprehensive financial report was judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program in demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure, to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and groups to read the annual comprehensive financial report. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners congratulates Ms. Murray and the Finance Department staff upon being awarded the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 7th consecutive year. So that's phenomenal. Further, the Commission commends the Director and the staff for their stewardship in managing review provided by Gaston County taxpayers, and this will be adopted on the 26th day of October 2021. Tiffany, if you'd like to come up. Thank you.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to say thank you for this commemoration, and I know it's coming to the finance staff and myself, but we couldn't do the work that we do without the help and the partnerships with every county in this department. So thank you all. It's not only our reward, but it's the county's reward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, Commissioner Fraley, proclamation to recognize Gaston County Emergency Medical Services on its reaccreditation.
All right, Mark, Jim's chief, and everybody else that wants to come be up here with him, come on. How y'all doing? You brought the whole crew. Got enough still out. Okay, this is a commendation for Jim's reaccreditation from the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services, known as CAAS. And whereas Gaston County EMS has received notification that they have again received accreditation from the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services, and for the agency's compliance with national standards of excellence, and whereas the Commission is a nonprofit organization which was established to encourage and promote quality patient care in America's medical transportation system. The primary focus of the Commission standards is high-quality patient care. This is accomplished by establishing national standards which not only address the delivery of patient care, but also the ambulance service total operation and its relationships with other agencies, the general public, and medical community. And whereas Gaston County EMS was the first EMS agency in North Carolina to achieve the accreditation in 1995 and has voluntarily maintained the evolving standards set by the Commission since that time. There is now a total of 6 EMS agencies in North Carolina and just 196 in the United States that are currently CAAS accredited. And whereas the reaccreditation process began in December of 2020, compiling the application of GM staff participated in a 2-day virtual evaluation where CAAS evaluators interviewed employees, visited stations, inspected ambulances, reviewed records. GM's employees at every level played a considerable role in the agency's ability to meet the Commission's high standards and were influential in the successful completion of this process. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes Gaston County Emergency Medical Services, better known as GEMS, on a CAAS reaccreditation in Gaston County and call upon all of its citizens to observe the recognition to be adopted the 26th day of October 2021. Mark, say a few words.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners, for this recognition. This has truly been a journey of self-improvement. A lot of people have asked us over the years, why do you do it? And the reason is because we always want to get better. Throughout this time, it's been truly a team effort. Everybody has to work together on this. We have a great team. This is just a small number of the people that we have every day that work in EMS in Gaston County. Sometimes people say to us, well, I could never do your job. And truly, lots of shifts, people see things that many people only see in a lifetime. So it's truly a calling to be in EMS, and we're very proud of the work we do every day. One of the things we have on the wall at our office is it's not by all the pictures. It's not just a job, it's a calling. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Fraley. It's with great pleasure for the Gaston County Board of Commissioners to honor citizens who have unselfishly given of their time, talent, and skills, along with their energies in service as an appointee to one of our many boards or commissions. This type of service is the foundation for citizen involvement in our county government and is helping shape the future of our community. We gratefully acknowledge the work of the following individuals, and certificates of appreciation have been forwarded to them. Darrell Griffin for both the Child Fatality Prevention Team and the Community Child Protection Team. Lori Hannafin, Health and Human Service Board. Jesse Caldwell IV, Peely Coleman of the JCPC. Jake Youngblood, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And Jim Hoffman, Travel and Advisory Board. And it brings us to a report from our county manager, I believe. Turn the page. Dr. Eagle's going to do a presentation to give us an update on the federal money that the county's receiving.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ray Maxwell is going to come up as well and move us through some slides. But you have at your seat a copy of a handout that's front and back that is gray with the teal and the yellow that covers the information that I will share. As you all remember, the county is receiving just over $43 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds from the federal government that has been awarded to Gaston County and is going to be distributed in 2 increments. The first increment has already been received. It was received in May of this year. The second increment in May of 2022. Those funds must be obligated by December of 2024 and then spent by December of 2026. Allowable uses are several, including supporting public health response to the pandemic, serving our hardest hit communities and families, and that includes some of our opportunity zones that you're familiar with, investing in water and sewer infrastructure, and also investing in other infrastructure that supports public health response and underserved areas. And I wanted to share the work that staff has been doing over the last several months. They have been spending time reviewing the interim guidance we have received from the Treasury Department. They have been vetting for you eligible projects and expenses. They have been working to understand the financial reporting requirements and the audit requirements. Tonight, I'm not asking you for any decisions. Tonight is an opportunity for introduction to some of the staff work. This plan is intended as a high-level framework so we can start the dialogue around your input. This will flow into the budget process for next year. So we can be very strategic in evaluating how we use these federal funds as that relates to your budget in terms of the options for choices. So if we take a look at the document, I want to share a little bit more detail on the eligible uses and the framework we've developed so far. If you turn over to the back side, there is labeling of 3 different sections. And we have intentionally grouped the information around the 3 components from your strategic plan. So you can see that there are menu items, if you will, that fall under the community health, safety, and well-being category. There's a second grouping for economic development and planned growth. And the third section is recreational, cultural, and lifelong learning opportunities. Those are the sections in your strategic plan. As I mentioned earlier, this is a starting point. This menu of ideas that we are vetting for eligibility is not all inclusive. It is totaling over $60 million. We have 43 to spend. So we wanted to make sure that we put everything on the table. And even as late as this afternoon, another idea came forward related to an equipment purchase that we will bring back to you at a later date to consider the best approach. Excuse me. Another point I would like to make before I go into some of these examples is the fact that as we work through the evaluation process, we will look at eligibility for maximum impact, and we will look to select projects that also have a positive impact on our existing capital plan in terms of capacity there, so that you all have the most flexibility and the most options at our disposal. So very briefly, I will walk through some key examples. I will not cover every single one. We have plenty of time to do that leading up to the next budget process. However, I do want to point out a few. Under the first section, under number 1, under supporting public health response, the third item down, or actually the second I should say, is the reserve fund for departmental requests. There are some ideas coming forward, such as improvements to some of our courtrooms so that we can do arraignments using video. That is categorized as a pandemic response because of the way we're changing the way we do business. That would be one example of a departmental request, just to illustrate what that looks like. Another might be increased sanitation needs in the jail, depending on our COVID numbers. If you look at that second section there related to water and sewer infrastructure, Tryon Elementary water line, for example, is a situation that we've had on our capital list because of the use of wells at that school. So that would be an eligible item that we can consider moving forward. It would take that item off of your current capital list, therefore freeing up capacity by using federal dollars to do that project. In the third category, serving hardest hit communities and families, we've got an option there for you. The second item down is the nonprofit community-based organization requests. That is completely up to the Board of County Commissioners. We will put together as staff a process for you, if you choose to do so, to consider any request from the nonprofit community as another option as well. If you move down the page, the item under economic development related to Gaston College, that's something that we're currently reviewing, and we are evaluating that in regard to their health science building expansion. That expansion has multiple components. One piece of it is health science classrooms that provide for clinical simulation, which is directly related to health services and pandemic response. We're working with the college to understand the other components of that expansion and what might be eligible, so that we can drill down to a number for you all. You'll see that I've listed TBD on the cost, because we don't have a good enough understanding yet related to the square footage for the simulation space in terms of eligibility. And in the last section there, also related to serving the hardest hit communities and families, you'll see some different park improvement projects listed. So the guidance at this point says that the funds can be used to improve existing parks. So we're evaluating the needs in existing areas, and also what we already have on the capital plan, so that we can have the greatest impact. And with that, I'll pause to see if there are any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Eagle, Ray, your staff, I want to commend you, because this is something we've always asked for in advance, was an outline. We've always wanted to know what we were kind of put up against and things we could do, and having that issue to see for the future. So thank you guys for your hard work. Like I said, I don't know how many times we've come to a meeting with something just thrown out there that we have money for, we're never with an outline, a guide, but thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm good.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Dr. Eagle,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're talking about a new complex for emergency management, GEMS. The Veterans Affairs offices, are they included in that?
They are not included in that. That improvement is already in the budget, and that work is, if it has not started, it's about to start any day now. But that's something that's already funded in the budget.
And Ray, do we have any other schools that are on Wells besides Tryon?
I believe Tryon and Costner are the two remaining schools that are on Wells, and both of those are on this list as a possibility.
Costner's on there?
I mean Chapel Grove.
Chapel
We
Grove.
did serve Costner some years back. I'm sorry, it's Chapel Grove.
Okay. Mr. Worley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this question for Dr. Eagle.
Sure.
I noticed that broadband infrastructure is a category that we could use, but they're on the back page that we're not addressing broadband in any way. But I realize there's still a issue with broadband throughout the community. I know that's important not only for families maybe that are having trouble getting internet service, but also the children that need internet service, and God forbid that we go through another period that they're stuck at home and having to learn from home. But have we looked at broadband infrastructure throughout the county? And
Yep. That's an excellent question, Mr. Worley. I'll have Ray expand on it, but I do know that based on our information thus far that we have limited authority in the broadband space. Ray, would you like to add to that?
Yes, in North Carolina, counties and cities have very limited authority when it comes to broadband. It is something that we are considering, but again, we only have preliminary guidelines at this point. So as the Treasury Department kind of finalizes their guidelines, and as I know the legislature has been talking about broadband and maybe some changes to the current laws that are in place, we'll continue to evaluate that.
Anyone else? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll keep working to evaluate and keep you posted on how we progress.
Okay, the last item is other matters, and while we're on this subject, I'd like to just simply ask if two things I'd like to talk about for a minute. One, how much money has the county received from federal funds, either through the state or directly from the federal government, approximately?
I have that here, Mr. Chairman.
And we'll just consider both payments, the 43 million.
So the 43 million is the ARPA fund.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll ask budget staff to correct me if I misspeak, but approximately 14 million in the first CARES batch, is that correct? That's giving me the thumbs up, so it was approximately 14 million, and I can provide that breakdown if necessary in terms of how that was used.
Okay. If, and this is, I guess, a hypothetical, if we hadn't received, say, the 14 million, what would our budget be looking like right now? Would we have been able to keep the tax rate level without taking money out of the fund balance?
The 14 million that we've already received and spent was not used to supplant the budget. It was
Okay.
used for distribution to municipalities, vaccine clinics, COVID testing, all the things that we only had to do because of the pandemic. So in many ways, it's separate and apart from the budget. We did not use that to balance the budget.
And the other thing that we spoke about when we met recently is the grants that the Board of Commissioners approved to give,
Small business?
the small businesses. I think you told me we've gave out about 150,000, and there's about 350,000 that hasn't been used. And I don't think we're receiving a great amount of payback yet.
That's correct. You have the numbers accurate. 500,000 was allocated, about 150 has been awarded in loans, and I will ask finance to find out for us, and the attorney may be able to speak to the timing of the payback. I know there was a deferred time period before that would start, but those are truly loans and not forgiven.
We may have to, remind some of these small businesses or individuals that it is a loan. It's not free money. And the board may want to consider, or may not, putting an end to the grant program since things have pretty much leveled out. That money's still sitting there.
It's still there.
Okay. Anything else from anyone?
Mr. Chair, in
Yes.
terms of your comment about the money that we set aside, I think at this point in time, since we're getting close to the end of the calendar year, midway through the fiscal year, that the remainder of that balance just sit there and accrue whatever interest it does or does not receive, and let's look at allocating that for future needs and when we move into our new budget year.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. Fraley.
You may have covered it, Kim, but I didn't hear it if you did. When's the last time someone applied for one of those grants or loans?
Last week, the attorney's telling me.
So we're still having some activity, obviously, so I don't know if we want to shut it down, if we still got people, looking into it.
I believe we've approved 2 in about the last 6 months. Is that accurate, Tiffany? Yeah, you can come forward.
We've approved 2 in probably like the last 6 months, but we are starting to see some more movement. We received 3 applications this past week, so I wasn't sure if something had went out. We may need to send some more information out if we want to continue the program, but we do have 3 applications that we're working through, documentation and things of that nature.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This concludes our work session for this evening. Our next regular meeting is Tuesday, October 26th, right here in the Harley B. Gaston Public Forum Courthouse. Thank you for watching. Good evening, everyone.